Last Saturday afternoon, while most Americans were relaxing into their weekend, President Trump posted something on Truth Social that could fundamentally alter your cost of living within weeks. Not months. Weeks. He threatened a 100% tariff on every product coming from Canada if the country finalizes its trade arrangement with China. 100%. That translates to everything doubling in price overnight at the border. This isn't some minor trading partner we're discussing. Canada represents America's top export destination, nearly 3.6 billion Canadian dollars, approximately 2.7 billion US dollars in goods and services cross the border every single day. Every day. That's more bilateral commerce than exists between the United States and China, more than with Mexico, more than with the entire European Union combined. And Trump just threatened to effectively cut that flow in half with a social media post. The stated reason? Canada announced a strategic partnership with China, not a comprehensive free trade agreement, a limited arrangement that reduces tariffs on canola and permits certain Chinese electric vehicles into Canadian markets. Here's what makes this particularly surreal. On January 16th, Trump publicly stated this was exactly what Canada should pursue. 8 days later, on January 24th, he threatened to obliterate $760 billion in annual trade over that identical arrangement. This isn't negotiating strategy. This represents economic self-destruction, and American consumers will absorb every penny of the cost. Because when the largest bilateral trade relationship in recorded history faces 100% tariffs, prices don't incrementally rise. They explode violently upward. I'm walking you through precisely what unfolds when, not if, this tariff takes effect. Trump has threatened tariffs previously and followed through. I'll show you which products hit your household budget first, how rapidly costs escalate, and why this extends far beyond Canada. This represents systematic destruction of every trade relationship America constructed over 7 decades. Before examining the tariff's impact, you need understanding what actually flows from Canada. This isn't maple syrup and ice hockey equipment. This is essential infrastructure your daily life requires. Start with energy. Crude oil specifically. Canada supplies the largest volume of foreign oil to American markets. 63% of all imported crude originates in Canada, 4.3 million barrels daily, every single day. At current pricing, that's approximately $322 million worth of oil crossing southward daily, $117 billion annually. If Trump imposes 100% tariffs, that oil effectively costs double. Refineries throughout the Midwest and Gulf Coast processing Canadian crude must pay twice the amount. And they're not absorbing that expense. They transfer it directly to consumers. Gasoline prices, diesel costs, heating oil, jet fuel, everything increases substantially. Let me provide specific mathematics. The average American household consumes roughly 656 gallons of gasoline yearly. If gas prices rise $1 per gallon due to tariffs, that's $656 additional annually per household. But gas won't rise just $1. Industry analysts project a 100% tariff on Canadian oil would push pump prices up $2 to $3 per gallon within weeks of implementation. $2 per gallon means your household pays an extra $1,300 yearly just on gasoline. $3 per gallon means $1,968. That's before discussing everything petroleum-derived: plastics, chemicals, fertilizers. Price increases cascade throughout the entire economy in compounding waves. But crude oil represents just the beginning. Let's discuss electricity. 85% of all electricity America imports originates in Canada, primarily to states like New York, Michigan, Minnesota, and Washington. These states don't import modest supplemental power. They fundamentally depend on Canadian hydroelectric capacity to maintain grid stability. If tariffs make that electricity cost double, utilities transfer costs to ratepayers immediately. Your electric bill increases. In certain states, potentially 20 to 30% higher. The average American household spends approximately $122 monthly on electricity. A 25% increase means an extra $30 monthly, $360 annually. So far, between gasoline and electricity alone, we're calculating over $1,700 yearly in additional costs for average households. And we haven't touched the major categories yet. Lumber. 30% of all lumber consumed in the United States originates in Canada. The housing industry fundamentally depends on it. If lumber prices double from tariffs, building a new home costs an estimated $25,000 to $35,000 more. Not speculation. That's direct calculation from the National Association of Home Builders based on standard construction requirements. If you're attempting to purchase a house within the next year, you just got priced out by $30,000. If you currently own, your property value might actually increase because new construction becomes unaffordable and supply tightens dramatically. But if you're a first-time buyer, you're effectively eliminated from the market, and it extends beyond new construction. Lumber appears in repairs, renovations, furniture, everything wooden becomes significantly more expensive. Steel and aluminum. Canada serves as the largest foreign supplier of both metals. The automotive industry, construction sector, manufacturing base all depend on Canadian steel and aluminum supplies. If those prices double, car prices increase, appliances cost more, any product containing metal becomes substantially more expensive. The average new vehicle uses approximately 2,400 pounds of steel and aluminum combined. If those materials cost double due to tariffs, new car prices increase by an estimated $3,000 to $4,500. Used car prices follow because demand shifts toward used markets when new vehicles become unaffordable. So if you're planning vehicle purchase within the next 2 years, add $4,000 to your budget. If you're financing, that's an extra $70 monthly on a 5-year loan at 6% interest. Over the loan's life, you pay an additional $4,200. Uranium. This doesn't directly hit grocery store prices, but matters fundamentally. 27% of uranium fueling American nuclear power plants originates in Canada. Nuclear power generates approximately 19% of American electricity. If uranium becomes more expensive from tariffs, electricity prices rise further beyond what we already calculated from imported electricity. Agriculture. Canada exports massive agricultural volumes to the United States. Wheat, canola oil, pork, beef, vegetables. If these products face 100% tariffs, food prices spike sharply. Bread, cooking oil, meat, everything increases. The average American household spends roughly $7,800 yearly on food. If food prices rise 10% from the tariff, that's $780 annually additional, and 10% might prove conservative. Some products could see 20 to 30% increases, depending on supply chain dependencies and substitution possibilities. Let me calculate total household impact. Gasoline, $1,300 to $2,000 yearly. Electricity, $360. Housing costs if purchasing, $25,000 to $35,000 additional. Vehicle prices, $4,000 more. Food, $780 annually. For an average American household, the 100% Canada tariff could cost between $3,000 and $5,000 yearly in higher prices directly. And that assumes the tariff only affects Canadian goods explicitly. It doesn't account for broader economic disruption, supply chain chaos, retaliatory tariffs Canada will certainly impose on American goods. When you factor complete economic impact, some estimates project costs reaching $6,000 to $8,000 per household annually. That's real money representing genuine sacrifice. A vacation you cancel, a car repair you postpone, retirement contributions you skip. And it happens because of a weekend tweet over a trade deal Trump supported 8 days earlier. Now let me walk through exactly how this unfolds in waves. Each wave strikes different aspects of your life. Week 1, Trump announces the tariff takes effect. Assume he provides 30 days notice, which represents standard procedure. The moment announcement happens, futures markets react immediately. Oil futures spike, lumber futures spike, metal futures spike. Traders aren't waiting for actual tariff implementation. They're pricing expectations right now. Gas stations don't wait either. They observe futures prices rising and raise pump prices immediately. Within 48 hours of tariff announcement, gas prices at pumps increase 50 cents to $1 per gallon. This occurred in 2018 when Trump threatened Mexico tariffs. Prices spiked before tariffs actually took effect. Week 2, retailers and wholesalers start stockpiling inventory. If you're a business depending on Canadian goods, you're attempting to import maximum possible volume before the tariff hits. This creates artificial demand spikes and shortages. Prices rise because supply gets tight temporarily. Lumber yards, steel distributors, auto part suppliers, all ordering extra inventory. This drives prices upward even before tariff officially activates. Week 3, Canada announces retaliatory tariffs inevitably. They won't simply accept 100% tariffs without responding. Canada will target American exports strategically to cause maximum political pain. What does the United States export to Canada? Substantial volume, $356 billion in goods and services annually, automobiles and auto parts, machinery, electronics, plastics, agricultural products, aircraft, pharmaceuticals. Canada will impose tariffs on products from politically crucial states: Florida oranges, Iowa corn, Wisconsin dairy, Michigan auto parts, Texas oil equipment, California wine. They'll target swing states and states represented by key senators. American farmers and manufacturers start losing access to their largest export market. Layoffs begin, not immediately, but companies start planning. Hiring freezes happen first, then cutbacks, then actual layoffs 3 to 6 months later. Week 4, the tariff officially takes effect. Now genuine pain commences. Every Canadian product crossing the border gets hit with 100% tariffs. Prices double overnight for anything still flowing. Gas stations raise prices again, this time another $1 to $1.50 per gallon. Some stations in border states run completely out of gasoline because Canadian fuel shipments pause while companies recalculate pricing structures. Grocery stores raise prices on Canadian beef, pork, wheat products, canola oil. Your grocery bill increases 10 to 15% in a single week. Month 2. Supply chains start fracturing. Here's what people fundamentally misunderstand about modern trade. It's not just finished products crossing borders. It's components, parts, raw materials, items crossing borders multiple times during manufacturing processes. A vehicle assembled in Detroit might have an engine block cast in Canada, machined in Michigan, assembled with Canadian parts, then shipped back to Canada for final assembly. Under normal trade, this functions efficiently. Under 100% tariffs, every border crossing doubles costs. If supply chains become economically impossible, auto plants start shutting down temporarily. Not permanently, temporary shutdowns while companies restructure supply chains. But temporary shutdowns mean workers don't receive pay, and workers without pay stop spending money. Economic contraction begins cascading. Month 3 to 6, recession arrives. Consumer spending drops because people pay more for gas, food, electricity, everything else. Businesses reduce operations because demand falls while costs rise. Unemployment starts climbing. The Federal Reserve faces an impossible choice: raise interest rates to fight inflation caused by tariffs, which intensifies recession, or maintain low rates supporting the economy, which allows inflation running wild. Either choice proves damaging, but historically, facing this dilemma, the Fed chooses fighting inflation. They raise rates. Mortgage rates increase, car loan rates increase, credit card rates increase. Borrowing becomes more expensive precisely when people need it most. Month 6 to 12, full economic impact becomes unmistakable. GDP growth slows or turns negative. Unemployment rises from current 4.2% to potentially 6 or 7%. That's millions of positions eliminated. Stock markets decline as corporate earnings collapse. Retirement accounts lose value substantially, and all this unfolds because of trade war with our closest ally. Not China, not Russia, Canada, the country sharing the longest undefended border globally with the United States, the country fighting alongside America in every major conflict over the past century. Now let's discuss what Canada actually does when struck with 100% tariffs. They're not helpless. They possess options, and every option makes situations worse for American consumers. Option 1, Canada pivots completely to China. Right now, Canada maintains limited partnership with China. Lower tariffs on agricultural products, some access for Chinese electric vehicles. It's partial, cautious. But if America imposes 100% tariffs, Canada has nothing to lose by going all in with China. Full free trade agreement, complete market access, deep economic integration. China already represents Canada's second-largest trading partner at $58 billion yearly. That could triple or quadruple within 5 years under comprehensive FTA. Canada gains access to a market of 1.4 billion people. China gets foothold in North America. Chinese goods flow into Canada tariff-free, then get re-exported to America through third countries or creative labeling schemes. The tariff becomes impossible to enforce effectively, and every dollar of trade shifting from America to China represents a dollar of American economic influence disappearing permanently. Here at Next Generation Finance, we track these developments because trade policy directly impacts every American's financial situation. Understanding what's at stake helps you make informed decisions about timing major purchases, career moves, and investment positioning. Let me bring this full circle. On Saturday, January 24, 2026, Donald Trump threatened imposing 100% tariffs on Canada. $760 billion in annual trade put at risk. The largest bilateral trade relationship globally jeopardized over a deal Trump supported 8 days prior. If this tariff gets imposed, gas prices spike $2 to $3 per gallon within weeks. Electricity bills increase 20 to 30%. Lumber prices double, adding $30,000 to new home costs. Car prices increase $4,000. Food prices rise 10 to 20%. The average American household faces $3,000 to $8,000 in additional annual costs. Jobs disappear as supply chains break and retaliatory tariffs hit American exporters. Recession follows within 6 months. Canada pivots to China permanently. The geopolitical damage becomes irreversible. This represents the third time in 3 weeks Trump threatened destroying major trade relationships. Greenland, Europe, now Canada. Over $4 trillion in combined trade at risk. The pattern reveals American alliances being systematically destroyed, not by enemies, by self-inflicted economic warfare. This is not financial advice. Always do your own research and consult with qualified professionals before making investment decisions. If this analysis opened your eyes to what's actually happening with trade policy and economic relationships, subscribe to this channel immediately and turn on notifications. These situations develop in real time, and mainstream media won't explain the real implications until it's too late to prepare. Comment below and tell me, do you think this tariff threat is genuine negotiating leverage, or are we witnessing actual destruction of America's most important trade partnership? $760 billion in commerce hanging in the balance. Your financial future in the crosshairs. Stay informed or pay the price later.